Well, hello vinyl community. It's Jacob coming to you again from the Dallas Open Micer YouTube channel. If you've been watching my recent videos, you may have noticed that I struggled to keep up with the 2024-2025 vinyl tags. Those prompts just kept slipping my mind. I wanted to make more tag videos, but what I thought I would do to help myself out is I would write my own tag for myself, tailor it to myself, and call it the 2025 proprietary vinyl tag that is only for me. Now, I can't stop anybody from doing this, but I hope that you won't. If you want to make your own proprietary tag, you're welcome to do that, but please don't use mine. I want it to be something that's unique and special for myself. First up says, show your favorite Beatles record. Now, my Beatles record is on the Swan label. For those of you who are Beatleologists, you may know that there was a time when record company executives had so much faith in humanity that they didn't think anybody would want to buy Beatles records. So the Beatles, that what biggest selling band in the history of the world, they were able to show up on this little old Swan label, and this record, She Loves You, has some wonderful folk art from the mid-60s on there that just really enhances the sleeve. This folk art was provided by my uncles. They weren't fooled by the Beatles. Now, my mother thought her brothers were being mean to her when they did this to her Beatles record, but I think that what they've done here is so timeless that whatever torment my mother endured at the time this record sleeve, this record cover was improved, well, I think this has a happy ending right here. All right, next up, show a man on a cover who struggled with blindness but did not play jazz, blues, R&B, or soul music. Now, this could very easily be a question that could stump a lot of people, but remember I wrote this prompt for myself. Here's a record that I recently came across in the clearance shelf, and the man who struggled with blindness, you may recognize the writer Aldous Huxley, and Aldous Huxley is presenting an album of Gesualdo, these Italian madrigals, and the record's a bit scratchy, but I'm quite happy to have picked this up. These liner notes on the back, written by Aldous Huxley, they were, this is just top-notch liner note writing, and you can see how small the type is. Aldous Huxley would have struggled to read his own liner notes. He would have probably needed to be aided by a magnifying glass. But I was happy to have this, happy to enjoy these liner notes from one of my favorite writers, Aldous Huxley. And I'll probably make a video where I'll read some of those liner notes to you in the future. So that could be something you could look forward to. Something to look forward to in 2025, perhaps. Next up, show a 45 RPM record that was gifted to you as a freebie when you ordered protective sleeves from Invest in Vinyl. I got this record. It's a Rod Stewart 45 single. The song is Young Turks on Warner Reprise. A fantastic present from my good friends at Invest in Vinyl. All right, next up, show a record that you will mail to your brother in North Carolina. I intend to mail my brother this record. It's a Rycooter soundtrack to The Long Riders. I have not seen this movie, and I bet my brother has not seen it either, but I have listened to this record, and it's quite nice, as you would expect from Rycooter. Mostly instrumental, with a little bit of singing thrown in there. Rycooter is going for a little bit of a Western frontier sound, but the music is timeless. Sounds terrific. I think my brother will like that. Next up, show a VCLT record and CD from Richard Riley. So if you watch Richard Riley's videos, you may remember him talking about this record. I remember Richard Riley talking about this record. This is Johnny Shines and Snooky Pryor. This is the only record I have from these guys. Richard Riley raved about this record. He got this on an online sale, if I remember correctly, and purchased some extra copies just to share this discovery. This Blind Pig label is one I'm not familiar with, and I gotta say this is one of the best sounding records in my collection. Richard Riley knew what he was doing. Now you may have also seen Richard Riley's video where he talked about the song Trouble in Mind, which is the opening track on this album. It was a terrific gift from Richard Riley, the elder statesman of the vinyl community. Oh, now a CD, a compact disc from Richard Riley. So Richard Riley also made a video talking about his years as a producer of piano music, piano jazz, old-timey piano playing on his Piano Mania music label. And this is one of his later releases. Carl Sonny Leland from the UK. Look at that slick cover right there. Now, those of us from the United States may know that for a time in the 1990s, Carl was playing with Big Sandy's Fly Right Boys and appears on this album, which is a lot of fun. Richard Riley is a cool guy. You should listen to what he has to say. All right, that's enough. Enough. I guess I was getting a little preachy there. Next up, shout out a channel that you would like to send a VCLT box of classic country records. Well, it would be a lot of fun to send a box of classic country records to Headley under the channel of another fat bearded man talking about records. That would bring me a lot of joy. Next up, show a record with liner notes penned by a well-known author. Well, I've already showed you the Aldous Huxley liner notes, but I'm going to read you some liner notes from another author, this Benny Goodman record on the Music Heritage label. Now, this is a 1985 digitally mastered album that was, I believe, the live recording for the PBS special. I don't know if this was the exact recording or recorded around the time to coincide, but anyway, this was near the end of Benny Goodman's career and life, and he had some big guns here on this album. He got Dick Hyman on piano. We got Bob Haggart on bass and Louis Bellson on drums. And on liner notes, we have the Hugo Award-winning science fiction writer and who also wrote the rough draft of my favorite episode of Star Trek, Harlan Ellison. And here's a little bit of what Harlan Ellison wrote. Now, I'm sure the cadence that Harlan Ellison thought out this liner notes, these liner notes will be more entertaining than what's going to come out of my mouth, but I'll give it a best shot. One tends to forget, if one is continually exposed to what passes for popular music today, that it is possible for music to make you smile. One need not wish to stuff one's head in the oven or drink Lysol after having spent an hour listening to music. There is a panacea available for the logorrhea of top 40 babble. It comes as an over-the-counter medication packaged under the trade name Goodman. Fantastic. I don't know that I would have used logorrhea in that sentence, but it was fun to read. Next up, show a valuable box set of classical music that you purchased for cheap because classical music is not properly respected by contemporary record collectors. For those of you who are young, records are what we called vinyls before you came along and soured our fun. That was more commentary than prompt. So here I have the violinist Nathan Milstein, and he was so good at playing violin that people are willing to spend a lot of money to listen to his Capitol records. A lot of Capitol records are frowned upon, but Nathan Milstein maybe was so good that he made people forget their prejudice against Capitol's classical records. This is an early repress. Next up, show an autographed album that you found in the wild that was not sold as a collectible. Well, I've got a fun one for you. I do use that word a lot, don't I? Mickey Finn. Now, let's see what the liner notes have to say. It says, is it 1890s, rinky-tink, roaring 20s, funky ragtime, blues, jazz, or Dixieland? And then in all capitals, exclamation, yep. And we've got a lot of traditional turn-of-the-century songs like Sidewalks of New York, Toot Toot Tootsie. We got Sweet George Brown on here, California, Here I Come. But we also have original compositions of Mickey Finn, who wrote this to, I can read cursive, but I can't quite make out that first name, to someone in Cindy. Hi, Mickey Finn. Mickey Finn can get a little bit funky, and it's been said that there's not enough funk in the vinyl community, and there's certainly not enough early 20th century piano music in the vinyl community. So we're killing two birds with one stone here. Mickey Finn on G&P Crescendo, right there. Oh, I'm enjoying myself. Let's see what's next. I get to flip my paper over. Side 2. Show an unplayed 45 RPM jukebox record with the label attached to the sleeve by a rusty paper clip. Chris Christopherson on Monument. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Loving Her Was Easier. It's new, but also aged at the same time. And there's that rusty paper clip holding on the jukebox label. All right. Show a bad toupee. My record's got a little bit out of order here. There's a Hank Snow record from 1979. You can see that Hank Snow was cool. He had his liner notes written by Chet Atkins and Merle Travis. But even though Hank Snow was not ashamed to bare his chest, he was ashamed to bare his head. I don't think that toupee would have convinced anyone. It wouldn't have even fooled Aldous Huxley. Next up, show an album where the singer is the decorative lady on the album cover. This is one of those Julie London records that you can get cheap because she's dressed modestly. The back cover has, it's shielded by this record, but it has a lot of very engaging album covers from her discography. I suspect that back in the day, a lot of gentlemen would multitask while they listened to Julie London records. I thought that was funny. I couldn't help myself. Show an album that could have been something special but was a disappointment. Here's a record I had very high hopes for when I stumbled across it in the clearance. This is Scotty Moore recording an album of his own. This Guitar That Changed the World. Said with authority, you think, okay, Scotty is really going to want to showcase his powers. He's, free from Elvis, and he's going to show us some instrumental guitar that's going to knock our socks off and blow our minds. And we're gonna forget the need for Elvis's singing to make us enjoy these songs. But we do get some nice guitar playing on here, but this record is marred by vocal choruses that were just poisoning records in the 1960s. It was like a Lawrence Welk affair going on in the background of Scotty Moore's guitar playing. It's a heartbreaking disappointment. Oh, what could have been. Next up, name 10 bands from your home country that you do not own on any format. So I don't own these artists on any format. Let's see. Number 1, Aerosmith. Number 2, Green Day. Number 3, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Number 4, Nirvana. Number 5, Steely Dan. Number 6, Motley Crue. Number 7, people throw in a "the" in the band's name, but the is not there. The band is just Eagles. And for a bonus, I'll throw in Don Henley and Glenn Frey and Joe Walsh. Nothing. I don't have anything against Joe Walsh, to the best of my knowledge. Number 8, Metallica. Number 9, the Doobie Brothers. And number 10, REM. Next up, show a Book of the Month Club box set with bad cover art. This is a terrific box set put out by these are Verve records of Ella Fitzgerald singing the George Gershwin songbook. But look at that terrible artwork. It's the kind of thing that just drives the price down. It's already uncool enough to be a Book of the Month club, but don't judge a book by its cover. Judge it by the Verve label. All right, moving along. I'm really enjoying myself. It makes me sad that this video is getting closer to the end. I'll have to do this again next year. So far I've responded to every single one of my prompts. And if I forget one, you'll never know. Show a record that needed to have a corner of the cover clipped off because it was kind of gross. It's Tiny Tim. I did that. You can see there was some water damage down there, but it did not appear to be moldy. The record itself was in terrific shape, so it was a keeper. Tiny Tim's second album on stereo. Gross, but not stinky. All right, let's see what's next. An album that I bought and waited around for months before listening to it, and then was quite satisfied by what I heard. Now, I do a lot of bargain hunting, and when I get big hauls from record sales, like when Josie Records has their 25-cent sales, or Half Price Books has their sales, or I'm just doing a lot of clearance digging, I don't get around to everything right away. And here's a record coming up that I didn't get around to right away, but it's quite terrific. Hal Kennedy. It's a gospel guitar record. And one thing I do when I look for good gospel records that I like to blind buy is I've never heard anybody talk about this guy. It's when I see that they're guitar players, because a lot of times these gospel artists, these Southern gospel guys, they can play a hot guitar. And Hal Kennedy sure knew what he was doing. There's some great singing, great guitar playing, and this was a very well recorded album from the Canaan record label, and I'm glad I picked it up. Next up, an album that I can find cheap where I live. It's cheap and common. It's not always in good shape, but I can do some Frankensteining. So I don't know if I've done this before. I'll pick these up when I see them in clearance. Sometimes there'll only be 2 records. This one traveled a long way. This feels like it just has 2 in there. Traveled a long way to be with me. Ex-library copy from Northridge, California. Lots and lots of tape along the edge there. Gloria Stain. Flopping apart, but what's inside is what counts, right? Just like people. Our final question. Oh, I feel so foolish because I just said what's inside is what counts. It's a misplaced metaphor, because I'm my final record that I'm going to show you. This is Vinyl Community Serendipity at its finest. It's a record that I bought just for the cover. I don't know if I'm ever going to play it. This is the special Dracula edition of Bobby Vinton's Blue Velvet album. What a high note to end this video on. If you made it to the end, boy, you were rewarded for your patience and tolerance of my long-windedness. Good to have you here, and happy 2025, everybody. Hope to see you soon.